This is the EVOLV Tour XLR. Over the past few months, I've tested this electric scooter across more than 120 miles. I've benchmarked its performance and tested its capabilities and limits. And now it's time for me to give my hands-on review of the Tour XLR. Before we dive in, let's establish a quick overview of the scooter. The EVOLV Tour XLR was introduced to the market in 2020. It's a single motor scooter but with plenty of speed, powered by the 52 volts 1000 watt rear wheel hub motor. It has a 52 volts 18.2 amp hours Samsung battery with an effective capacity of 946 watt hours. The XLR is equipped with 10-inch pneumatic tires and front and dual rear spring suspension for a comfortable ride. The overall design emphasizes safety and comfort with its above-average sliding setup, highly ergonomic grips and brake levers. The scooter weighs just above 50 pounds and folds together nicely at the handlebars and stem using the convenient folding latch so it easily fits into a trunk. It is marketed as a swift all-around solution for riders who want more out of their scooter than the entry-level models can offer, and with very few compromises along the way in terms of speed, portability and ride quality. Now let's see how the EVOLV Tour XLR held up through extensive testing. For many well-versed e-scooter riders, speed is the name of the game. With a similar motor and battery setup, it is set to yield comparable performance with the immensely popular Apollo Explorer and 010. A high voltage 1000 watt rear wheel hub motor gives the scooter a specified top speed of 31 miles per hour. This is at the very top performance-wise on what you'll see from a single motor scooter. On this channel, nothing goes without testing, so I set out to benchmark the top speed not only at full charge, but also how it performed as the battery level diminished. Using my racing grade performance logger, I measured a top speed of 31.3 miles at full charge, which lines up very close with the results you can expect from the Explorer and actually beats out the 010 ever so slightly. Now where the difference got a little clearer was with the performance retention. All electric scooters will see some kind of drop in performance as the battery level decreases, as the electric tension drops too. This is more pronounced on scooters with poor quality batteries, whereas more efficient batteries will give better performance throughout the entire charge. I tested the decline in top speed at various battery levels, and the results were overall really good. And I think we have the high quality Samsung cell battery to thank for that. Now the drop-off curve is very similar to what you can expect from the Apollo Explorer, but it outperforms the 010 that runs on non-name brand cells. At 20% battery left, the top speed had dropped by only 24% on the Tour XLR, whereas on the 010 I saw a 35% drop in top speed. Now this goes to show that not only battery capacity is important, the battery efficiency plays a very important role as well. For a single motor scooter, the EVOLV Tour XLR offers some of the fastest acceleration I've seen. I ran multiple acceleration tests and calculated the average time it took to reach certain speeds. I got from 0 to 15 miles per hour in 4.34 seconds, from 0 to 20 miles per hour in 6.85 seconds, and from 0 to 25 miles per hour in just 10.17 seconds. Once again, it performs quite similarly to the Apollo Explorer and slightly beats the 010. If we take a look at the full acceleration curve, we'll see that it took me 20.9 seconds to reach the top speed of 31.3 miles per hour. I find that a lot of electric scooters take between 20 to 30 seconds to reach their full speed, so the Tour XLR is definitely in the low end of that, which is really nice. This electric scooter has a fair bit of torque, which allows it to handle most hills with ease. I found that it was able to handle 15 to 20 degree inclines comfortably even when the battery level got quite low. It's not gonna have the zippy acceleration on hills that dual motor scooters offer, but it's more than enough for most urbanites to get around cities with demanding road conditions and hills. The EVOLV Tour XLR houses a 52 volts 18.2 amp hours battery. The battery uses reliable Samsung cells and has an effective capacity of 946 watt-hours. According to EVOLV Rides, it has a max range of 25 to 31 miles per charge. Comparatively, 946 watt-hours is quite good at this price point. Actually, it's identical to the capacity you get on the 010 and Apollo Explorer, and it's a bit more than you get on the more expensive Inokim Quick 4. There's obviously a huge outlier in the eMove Cruiser that has an enormous battery, but that comes with its own drawbacks. Based on the current sale prices including available coupons, the eMove Cruiser offers the most bang for your buck battery-wise by far, but the Tour XLR comes in nicely just behind the Explorer at $1.48 per watt-hour. This is still quite a good price and a lot better than many of the other contenders on the market. As battery quality and efficiency can vary between models, I like to test the actual range in the real world. I ran 3 range tests at 3 different speeds to see how the EVOLV Tour XLR performs. In the first test, I ride aggressively, full throttle whenever possible, and really trying to push the speed. This yielded a range of 19.8 miles. In the second test, I ride like I would normally do, and this is what I consider the most accurate real-world representation of range. In this test I got 23.3 miles. In the last test I ride slower to try and preserve as much battery as possible and maximize the range to really see how far you can push it. Now this resulted in a range of 27.5 miles per charge. The range really lives up to my expectations, and I was surprised to see it actually edging out the Explorer. The difference down to the 010 was a lot more notable, which leads me to think that the name brand cells we see on the EVOLV and Apollo models are of higher quality than what you can get on the 010. Depending on how you'll be using your electric scooter, portability can be a crucial deciding factor. With bigger batteries and beefier builds come a heavier end product, so finding the right weight balance for your needs is important. The EVOLV Tour XLR is what I would call an all-around performance e-scooter. It balances weight and power, so it's not annoyingly hard to carry, nor slow or with underwhelming range. The lightweight entry-level scooters around won't produce the same amount of speed and power as the Tour XLR, and the monstrous dual-motor electric scooters around simply aren't anywhere near as portable. The EVOLV Tour XLR weighs 50.7 pounds, so that's slightly lighter than the previously mentioned Explorer and 010 and slightly more than the Mantis 8. It's definitely in the light end considering the power it's packing. Now weight is only part of the equation. Dimensions and foldability are important as well, and the EVOLV Tour XLR excels at that. The handlebars can be folded in and quickly be clicked back into place in a matter of seconds. This is the same mechanism we see on the eMove Cruiser. It allows you to get riding quickly without having to tighten the handlebars before riding like you have to on the Explorer and 010. I find the stem folding mechanism to be a bit better on the Tour XLR as well. The latch is easier to grip around and you have 3 locking positions instead of 2, although I rarely use the middle one. The folded dimensions are a tiny bit longer on the Tour XLR, but it's a little less wide and tall, and thus it takes up about 10% less space than the other 2. Overall, for the performance you're getting, the Tour XLR offers excellent portability. The EVOLV Tour XLR is fitted with 2 10-inch pneumatic tires, front spring suspension and rear dual spring suspension to alleviate road vibrations and give you a comfortable ride. Overall, I think this setup works quite well, just like I expected. It's very close to what you'll see on the Apollo Explorer and 010, so if you've tried any of those, I'd say you can expect about the same dampening level on the Tour XLR. I did feel that the suspension was maybe a little bit too tight, but part of that comes down to rider weight and preference. Still, there's plenty of travel potential in the springs, and it doesn't bottom out at all for me, so it should be perfect for heavier riders as well. The usable deck space on the Tour XLR measures 21.7 by 6.1 inches. That's notably longer than the Explorer and 010, but also a fair bit narrower. In comparison, they measure 20 by 9.3 inches. Even though the rounded deck edges are aesthetically pleasing, they decrease the usable deck width a fair bit. I would have preferred straight ones, as it would have given about 1.5 inches more width. In terms of deck space, the Tour XLR does lose out to both the other scooters quite a bit. On the other hand, the max distance from the deck to the handlebar is 41.3 inches on the XLR, while it is 38.4 inches on the other two, making it slightly more ideal for taller riders. The EVOLV Tour XLR does so many things right in terms of ride quality, but the narrow deck is a bit of an annoyance. At 5'11" and with size 9 shoes, it's not a problem for me personally, but I imagine it could be an issue for bigger guys. Build quality is an area in which the Tour XLR does particularly well. Sturdy components, solid waterproofing, and proper installation make for a reliable ride you can be confident in at high speeds. The majority of the screws across the scooter use Loctite, which is a small detail, but I really appreciate it as it means less maintenance with tightening screws that can occasionally come loose. The external cables leading up to the handlebars are wrapped in a hard plastic coil as opposed to an inferior cloth like we see on the 010. As made apparent by the performance tests earlier, the Samsung cell battery yields excellent performance and easily beats the non-name brand cells on the 010. A broken fender is one of the most common issues e-scooter riders face, so it's nice to see the Tour XLR is fitted with a very thick and sturdy rear fender. I'm particularly fond of the grips on the handlebar. They have a comfortable shape and a partly textured surface to keep your hands in place should the ride get bumpy. The brake levers are rocked on the outside as well to further improve your grip. The folding mechanism performs very well. It's a well-tested mechanism with minimal stem flex seen on a variety of different scooters including the Apollo Lite. The foldable handlebar design works very well as you can get riding in only a few seconds, but as they cannot be tightened, there will be a little bit of wiggle room. It's not a safety issue and not something that I've noticed while riding, but it's worth knowing. However, even the similar ones that can be tightened, like on the Explorer and 010, tend to loosen a tiny bit as you ride, so it can be pretty much the same. The disc brake performance is solid. They were tuned nicely out of the box to give solid performance, and screeching was minimal. Hydraulic ones will always be superior to mechanical ones like we see on this one, but they come at a premium price. Overall, the braking performance is going to be very similar to the Explorer and 010. The Tour XLR can pride itself on being well lit at night. At the rear you have a total of 3 lights, one at the rear fender and one at each side of the deck. In the front there are 2 deck-mounted lights along with a bigger headlight on the stem that can be angled to your liking. There's also a very unique and cool looking acrylic tube with red light flowing through it at each side of the deck that I really like. Visibility from the sides is just as important in traffic at night as front and rear, so the Tour XLR definitely doesn't disappoint here. Overall, the lighting setup beats both the Explorer and 010. The Tour XLR also has a loud electronic horn that is much more safe and efficient than a classic bell, so that's a pro as well. Lastly, the Tour XLR has an IP54 certification. The IP rating specifies how resistant the scooter is to foreign objects and moisture. This means that all crucial components are protected from dust and water splashes from any direction, so you can ride comfortably in light to medium rain and on dusty roads. Overall, the EVOLV Tour XLR is an awesome electric scooter. It's an ideal purchase for people who are looking for an all-around performance e-scooter with solid range and power at a relatively low weight. The build quality is sturdy, and it's evident that EVOLV Rides care about bringing a solid product to the end user right out of the box. The suspension and braking performance is on par with that of the Explorer and 010, but it beats out the 010 in several of my performance tests, likely thanks to the Samsung cell battery. At the same price, I find the XLR to be a much more viable choice than the 010, as all of these small wins eventually add up. It goes head to head with the Apollo Explorer throughout the performance tests, and while the Explorer is around $100 cheaper, the Tour XLR wins in a few departments. In particular, it's a little bit lighter, it takes up about 10% less space, and has a taller adjustable stem, making it more ideal for taller riders. The lighting setup is also a bit better on the Tour XLR. On the flip side, it loses out to the Explorer in terms of price versus range and on deck width. The narrow deck on the EVOLV is a slight bummer in my opinion, as some bigger riders may find it uncomfortable, so it kind of works against the fact that it has a taller stem. Another point I wanted to make here at the end is that the EVOLV Tour XLR is widely available, practically all over the globe. Urban Machina is the go-to retailer for US and Canadian customers, while Bluewolf Group has a distribution network that reaches the UK, Oceania, Europe and beyond. This is something several other brands lack. If you're able to find, say, an Apollo distributor outside of the US and Canada, there's likely going to be an off-putting price markup that instantly makes the Tour XLR the better value choice. The price is the same both at Urban Machina and Bluewolf Group, links in the description. Alright, that marks the end of this review. If you have any questions about this scooter, feel free to leave me a comment below. A lot of time and effort goes into each review I produce. If you're interested in supporting the channel and you want to get the Tour XLR, feel free to use my affiliate link to Urban Machina or Bluewolf Group in the description, along with my exclusive coupon codes for a solid deal. More to come real soon.